wintry Canberra. Canberra is located on the lands of the Ngunnawal peoples, and I would like to begin by paying my respects to their elders past, present and future. Welcome to the HAS Open Day Q&A. I am Dr. Christina Spittel. I'm a Senior Lecturer in English and Media Studies, and I research Australian war literature, books like this one. And I also currently complete a big research project on an information warfare campaign from the Cold War. Today I am joined by three experts who can tell you all about what it is like to study ABA at UNSW Canberra. First up, we have Associate Professor Zhan Zhang. Zhan is Australia's leading expert on China's military, and he's an expert also on Chinese international and domestic policy. He is here primarily because he's an associate professor in international and political studies, and he's also a deputy head of school. He knows everything about teaching undergraduate students at UNSW Canberra. Second, we have Emma Bowman, who is our undergraduate coordinator at the university and who makes sure that everything runs smoothly from admission to graduation. And she can talk to you about some of those technical aspects of what it means to enroll in a university. And then we have Xavier Redeker, who is a third-year student in history and politics. And I'll give over to Zhan to give you a brief introduction of what we're going to cover. I would like to encourage you to ask questions throughout the session in the Q&A box. So we won't have a microphone roaming around, but you can ask as many questions as you like. And there is no question that will be a stupid question. So please fire away and get us talking about our university and about the programs that we offer. Zhan.
Hi, hello. Welcome to this Q&A session. And I'm the Deputy Head of School Education for the School of Humanities and Social Science. Our school teaches the Bachelor of Arts program, which is the main topic for this Q&A session. I hope that you have already watched the recorded presentation of the school. And if you did, you will find the Bachelor of Arts program and co-taught by three schools. But our school is a main school to teach and manage the program. So in this Q&A session, and my colleague and I, we will try to answer whatever questions you have about the BA program as much as we can. Thank you very much.
Right. Emma, would you like to tell us a little bit about what it means to get admitted to the university? Are there any things that we need to bear in mind?
Yes, well, I guess one of the main things is that it is, of course, a two-step application process for admittance to the university. So you will submit your application through Defence Force recruiting to join the Australian Defence Force. We always recommend that students commence this process early, as it can take 12 to 18 months. Then the second part of the application process will be through the University Admission Centre, in which you'll apply for your chosen degree at UNSW Canberra. So really what we're looking for is, in the end, that you have a job offer from Defence and that you meet the entrance requirements to the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Thank you so much, Emma.
No worries.
Xavier, would you like to tell us a little bit about how you decided to study a BA at UNSW Canberra?
Yeah, so I'm studying history and politics, so I just have an interest in history, and so studying a BA at UNSW Canberra means that you can kind of pursue your interests. So I've studied a range of things from Australian military history to doing my preparation for honours. And it's just really good. You're able to pursue any of your interests. If you're interested in a particular topic, the BA gives you a lot of room to pursue that in your own time and through the subjects that are available.
Thank you so much, Xavier. And I think that's a really good pickup. We've already got a lot of very specific questions. And a lot of these questions seem to roam about the question of subjects that you can study. Zhan, I know that you have prepared a little slide that you might be able to show us that just gives us a sense of the subjects that are available. Could you show us the slide?
Okay, I just wait, and so I can show this to the people here. Just bear with me. Share screen. And
And thanks to everyone who's already asked some questions. We will be getting to those very shortly.
Yeah. So did you see the screen? Can everybody see the screen about the Bachelor of Arts? Yeah. Okay, so basically the Bachelor of Arts program and has 6 majors, and which offered by 3 schools: School of Humanities and Social Science, School of Science, and the School of Business. So the 6 majors are the English and Media Study, History, Indonesian Study, International and Political Study, which are the 4 majors offered by the School of Humanities and Social Science. The School of Science offers the geography major to the BA program, and School of Business offers the business major to the program. And the program, the degree program is a double major program. So student can choose 2 major and to complete the degree. So in the first year, normally student choose 4 of the courses from 4 of those major because they do not need to decide in year 1, but in year 2, they need to decide which 2 majors they want to study for the BA program. So I will all this information, and there are more detailed information about what are each of the majors are and what courses taught in this major. You can find in the recorded presentation of the school at the Open Day website. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yes, we have a recorded presentation which you can find on the Open Day website and which complements really well what we're doing now. So if you haven't watched this yet, please don't panic. I think these 2 sessions will go really well together. John, we have a question about languages other than Indonesian. Do you have an answer for us?
Yes, we do at the BA program, and we have the major for Indonesian study, but we do have options for other languages through the institutional collaboration with ANU. So students who want to study other languages as a major of our BA program, and they can apply. And there are normally there are the options available is Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, French, and they are all taught at ANU. But having said that, the student for the university, we are always happy for them to take that option at ANU, as long as you meet the requirement, the major requirement after studying at ANU, we will be recognized that as part of your BA degree. But having said that, to have that option, you need approval by defense, and for 2 reasons. One is that you are paid to study at UNSW Canberra by defense. If you chose to study part of your degree at other university, then it needs defense approval. Secondly, the language you choose need to be assessed by the defense and whether it's meet their priority criteria. But we do every year, and there are a number of students they take that option and they get approved and they enrolled they study the other language at ANU. Thank you.
Okay, John, I'll just ask you one more question about Indonesian. We have a student or a potential student who wants to know whether you have to have some knowledge of Indonesian already to be able to complete a major in Indonesian.
Yes. Our Indonesian language program has 2 streams. One stream is that for the complete beginner and which has no prior knowledge of Indonesian study, and they studied and they will have for that streams, and the student will have more language courses than the other stream. The other stream is a more advanced stream, which is designed for student who has prior knowledge and study of Indonesian language. And so, yes, and the answer is that we have 2 streams, which for the different cohort of student.
That's right. So the very short answer is no, you don't have to have any prior knowledge. People are prepared to take it from the very beginning. And the one thing that many students do is they give it a shot. They try it out for a semester. And if they find it works, they can continue doing that. And if they find that maybe that's not the best fit for them, or that's challenging in a way that they didn't expect, then they can choose something else. Let's talk briefly about Indonesian a little bit more, because we've got some students or potential students who are quite knowledgeable about the program, and they want to know about the possibility of travelling to Indonesia to further their study, to work in real life situations, those kinds of things. Jan, what's your answer to that?
Yes, we have, there is two kind of, opportunity and to have in-country study in Indonesia for the Indonesian language program. And one of them is actually managed by Defense. It's for Navy student. And each year, because the Navy has an exchange program with the Indonesian military language school, and each year there will be a number of Navy students who are studying Indonesian language as a major will be chosen to send to Indonesia to study for 6 months. And that 6 months period in the Indonesian military language school will be counted as part of our Indonesian study program. And so for the other student in our Indonesian study program, every year we have 2 weeks Indonesian study tour, and normally in September or October, and there will be in-country study for 2 weeks, and they participate in various, activity, including language and culture and etc. So these are the two major kind of opportunities. But within UNSW Alpha, UNSW Canberra, but we also has other activities organized around the Indonesian study, such as Indonesian, Day every year.
Yeah, and I can tell you a little bit about Indonesian Day, because the Associate Professor Minato Sakai, who organises that, has her office just next to mine. So I'm always aware of the buzz that goes into that day. And what it means is that there are a number of competitions where students present their knowledge and their skills to members of the Indonesian embassy. So there are lots of opportunities to practice your Indonesian, even on campus, even when you can't travel there. We've got a number of questions about the subjects. Again, can we just have a brief answer to the question of whether legal studies is required to undertake a Bachelor of Arts?
We do not have prerequisite for the Bachelor of Arts, so we do not require to study any specific subject at high school before you come to UNSW Canberra to study for the BA. Of course, the only assumed knowledge for you is that you know English, because the program is taught by English, and so that's only assumed knowledge. No, we do not require legal study as a subject before you can study for BA.
Thank you, John. And we have another question about mixing a major studying arts with something very different like cybersecurity.
We currently at UNSW Canberra, the BA degree it's a double major degree. You choose 2 majors from the 6 major, which I just, show you. And in the PowerPoint, there was no, you cannot, currently there was no option that you choose one arts major plus a major in cybersecurity. But at UNSW Canberra, and as part of the BA degree, and all students need to take 2 prescribed electives. And one of the elective is Introduction to Cybersecurity, which is a compulsory elective for all TOs at UNSW Canberra.
John, can you just remind us what TO stands for?
Training officer. Training officer.
Right. So
yes.
If we throw out acronyms around, please remind us to explain them if we forget.
Okay.
So just to wrap up the question of prerequisites, there are no prerequisites. You do not have to know prior Indonesian to get into an Indonesian major, and you do not have to have a background in legal studies and such like to get into our BA. Emma, can you tell us what kind of university grade I need to get in?
So we are just looking for an ATAR selection rank of 75 for the Bachelor of Arts. And of course, then in addition to that, you do also need to have successfully completed the Defence Force recruiting application process and have a job offer.
Right. Thank you very much.
No worries.
We have a question about studying history, and I think, Xavier, as a third-year history student, you are the best person to answer that. What sort of topics are addressed? Is there a particular period focus? Is it a region's history? What sort of courses have you been doing?
So in terms of time period focus, I've done various. In first year, you start off with World War II. However, last year I did a subject talking about the origins of warfare, which took us all the way back to ancient history. And this year I'm studying Australian military history, which ranges from the 19th century up into the present. And in terms of different regions, it's all different. As I said, I'm studying Australian military history this semester, but I've studied Russian history, Asia Pacific history. There's so many options for you. You can just choose whatever you want, really.
So can I follow up with this? Yes, our history program and is very strong in the history of war. So many of our courses, including it's the study of the First World War, Second World War, and various like Vietnam War, etc. And also Australian military history, and partly because we are the leading, we have a leading history program on Australian's military history. And also in terms of regional history, like Xavier just said, we have courses on Russian history. We have courses on conflict in the Asia Pacific. It's the history of the war in the Asia Pacific. And also we have African history. So that's the reason various option. But the main focus of our history program, and if we compare to other history program elsewhere in Australian university, is that it's focused on the history of war.
And we might add it also focuses on the different ways people have written the history of war. So there's a subject on Nazi Germany, which is really a subject about historiography, that is the study of the way historians have looked at the Nazi past over the past decades. So you get quite a good sense of various periods of history with a strong focus on military history, but you also get a sense of the discipline as such and the kinds of methods that they apply and the history that it has. Xavier, you mentioned studying for honours. Do you want to explain just very briefly what that involves?
Yeah, so I'm doing pre-honours, which is looking at as Christina said, like the study of history as a discipline. And it's also an opportunity where you can pursue your own research, which you choose. So I'm, for instance, I'm doing the war in Algeria in the 1950s. But it's just at the end of your degree, you have the opportunity to do a capstone subject, and you can kind of pursue what you've been wanting to focus on throughout the last 3 years. So it's your opportunity to pursue something of your own interest in particular.
That's right. And there's always a potential that you might come back to ATFA or to UNSW Canberra in our case for a fourth year of study, and that would involve doing an honours thesis. So that's sort of trying to prepare people for that, but also giving them a sense of what it would be like to do some research of your own. John, do you want to talk a little bit about the kinds of topics that would be addressed in international and political studies?
Yes. Okay. So International and Political Studies is the largest program within the school, and it's provide courses in 4 separate themes. The first one is international relations, and the second one is about country studies, which we focus on countries of strategic importance for Australia, that including China, United States, and countries of Southeast Asia. And the third part of our courses is security study. We focus on global, regional, and contemporary emerging non-traditional security issues. And the first theme of the course is the political and ethical thought. So it's on the political theory and ethics. So basically, the course offered from these 4 different themes and to cover a wide range of topics.
Thank you, John. We have a couple of admissions questions, which we're going to park for a second because we're talking about the kinds of topics that you would be studying in a particular major. So let's just stay with that theme briefly and pick up the questions about the topics addressed in an English unit and the kinds of books that you might study. John, do you think I should answer that question?
Yes, sure. Go ahead. If you are wrong, I will correct you.
Oh, thank you, John. Well, I think as a member of the English, I'm actually meant to be the host of this conversation, but as a member of the English and Media Studies team, I think I can answer this question quite well. As with our other programs, we do have a focus on the study of war, and that also transpires in English and Media Studies. So our second first-year subject is about the literature of war, and this is where we talk about the war poets from the First World War. We sometimes read All Quiet on the Western Front as a book by a major former enemy, and a book that is also recommended reading on the Chief of Army's reading list. But then we take these questions up to the present and we look at how new media deal with war, how war has been represented in film, what challenges cameramen and filmmakers have faced, for example, producing documentaries about Afghanistan and Iraq. In addition to that, you can study with us American literature, Australian literature, the literature of the world. You can take a topic on media studies, which is a whole unit where we talk about things such as compassion fatigue, war correspondence, and the ethics of reporting wars. And you can take an upper level unit on the question of war literature and film. So we have experts researching these questions, and we have a broad array of sort of subjects that underpin that. John, do you want to talk briefly about the kinds of topics involved in Indonesian so that we have that covered as well?
For the Indonesian study program, and of course I said there are 2 streams, and for the student who have no prior background in Indonesian study, and of course they need to study 6 language courses and then 2 non-language courses. The 2 non-language courses which have choice of a variety of courses. Currently, we offer the courses on Islam and society in Indonesia, and we offer civil military relations in Indonesia. We also offer the development issues in Indonesian society. So for the more advanced, the other stream, which for students who have prior knowledge with Indonesia, language, and they will study for 4 advanced language course and 4 non-language course, which including the non-language course I just mentioned. And also there are some cross-badged course with IPS, and so they can also choose some of that course as part of the Indonesian major.
Thank you, John. We have a question on essay writing. I might answer that very quickly, and then we'll have some more technical questions about admissions so that we don't miss those. In all of our subjects, in Indonesian, in history, in political studies, in English and media studies, writing an essay is something you will do. That's definitely correct. And there is lots of ways that we have to help you with that. We have a particular team that is dedicated to helping students with their study skills. So you shouldn't be worried about writing essays. If that's something that you're not very good at or uncomfortable with, there are things that we can do to assist. But we also have a range of other formats of assessment. We have quizzes, we have presentations in front of other students, and I have sometimes run an exhibition with my students in the library where students write the text and workshop their captions together. We also have smaller pieces of assessment, and in our first year courses we often have exams. And all of that always gets explained right at the start of the semester, because our instruction Our instructors are not allowed to vary or change their assessment, are they, John?
Yes, no. And also, I want to say that essay writing is the core skill we want to develop through the BA program, like every BA program in Australian university or in the world, and not just for English and media studies, but because the BA program fundamentally want to provide you a number of important skills, which is important for your career, regardless of what kind of job you will get. And those are the critical thinking skills, analytical skills, skills of making judgment and making decisions among the conflict information, and also most importantly, the skills of communicate your idea both in writing and in orally. So this is all very important, and all our BA, major and has a core purpose and common purpose to develop, regardless of the subject, topic, and they all have a same purpose to help you to develop those kind of skills. So one of them, is that for writing, and essay writing is quite, important and useful and skill and training for people, for students in the BA program.
Xavier, do you want to jump in and talk a little bit about what it's like to write an essay at UNSW Canberra?
Yeah. So writing an essay, you get used to it at the start. It might be a little different for you going for me anyway, going between politics and history. But we have the Academy Library nearby, and I use that extensively because there's so many books there. And once you get into researching, it just becomes so much smoother and it becomes a really interesting experience. But every course that I've done has included essays of some kind. And it's just something that you get pretty well at pretty quickly.
Thank you, Xavier. And that's a really important point. Most of our essays involve research, and we have one of the best libraries in the world, especially for subjects of war history and war literature, with lots of very friendly librarians who are very keen to help people find what they need. So even if you feel a bit daunted by everything that is on offer there, you can make a time and they will give you a one-on-one session and really open up that kind of treasure trove that is the Academy Library. Let's just talk very briefly about some of these admissions questions, because I think Emma is our expert for these. There is a question about applying to UNSW for the Leaders Adjustment Scheme. Is that something you can give us some information about before or after the release of your ATAR?
Absolutely. So I might just speak briefly on the different adjustment factor schemes, previously known as bonus points, that applicants can apply for. So firstly, I'll answer regarding the Elite Athletes, Performers and Leaders program. I will advise that you do want to apply for this alongside submitting your UAC application. Off the top of my head, I believe the deadline is in November. So this particular scheme is for points awarded for demonstrated commitment and excellence in the athletes, performers and leaders fields. And this application is actually lodged directly with UNSW. I will just briefly speak about two of the other schemes that we have. One is an access scheme. These are points allocated for disadvantage during year 11 and 12. There's many different categories that this can fall under. And just recently, due to the impact of COVID-19, there is a new category for that. So this is an application that you will submit alongside your UAC application. Finally, there's HSC Plus. So this rewards strong performance in relevant subjects in year 11 and 12 that relate to your degree preference, so that would relate to the Bachelor of Arts. This actually you don't need to submit an application for. It's automatically calculated when you submit your application through UAC.
Thank you so much. If that was just all too much for me right now, where am I able to find this information to read it up later on?
So you can find it on our website. So even if you were to search for HSC Plus, EAPL or the Access Scheme. Otherwise, I would strongly recommend that you send an email through to us at student.recruitment@adfa.edu.au. And we would be able to help you and outline all of those schemes and the application processes.
Thank you so much. I've got another question for you, and I think that's a question we can then also hand over to Jan to answer part of it. And the question is, if you've already completed a year at university by the time you go to ATFA or UNSW Canberra, as our side of the operation is called, can you skip doing the subjects from all 4 majors and just pick 2 majors? So can you skip straight to second year, I think?
So this will essentially depend. There is a process by which you can apply for credit transfer for previous undergraduate study. It is, of course, an application process, so it is subject to approval. So we will contact all of our students who may have previous study prior to their commencing here with us. So when they receive a letter of offer, they will also get a welcome email from us, which will have instructions regarding this application. We get the students to submit an application form alongside official transcripts and course outlines from their previous studies. We would then forward this to the relevant authority at the School of Humanities and Social Sciences for their assessment. If you were awarded credit for those level 1 courses, there would be potential to then move on to upper level courses, but it will all depend on the assessment. So Jean might be able to speak a little bit more on that.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much about the process. And what I want to add is that when we actually assess the credit and the subject studied from other institutions, and we mainly focus on the 2 things. One is that the similarity and of the content of the course, whether it's a match of our own course here, and also the learning outcome, whether the learning outcome from your previous study matches our requirement. So if we find our assessment is that we are satisfied that the subject you studied before can be credited as part of our major, then we will recognize this. But even also remember, as a BA degree, apart from you study for 2 majors, and you still have a choice for 4 free electives. So some of the subjects you studied in other university, if they cannot be counted as part of the major, but they can be counted as, if we deemed that, it's appropriate, it can be counted as a free elective.
Thank you very much, John. I have a question. I think that is a perfect question for you, but I also want to pose it to Xavier. Xavier, can you talk a little bit about your experience studying international and political studies at UNSW Canberra? And then maybe Jan can give us some background on how this is different or similar to what other universities in the country would be offering.
Yep. So international political studies, you start off in first year with the introductory subjects where you kind of look at domestic and then move into international politics. And then as you move through, you go on to other subjects which have a bit more depth and breadth, where you look at key political thinkers, Australian security politics and security politics of other countries, as well as, you look at different political great powers. So you look at Russia, China, the US, India, as well as a number of subjects. But it's really broad. You get a lot of choice to choose what you want to study, whether you want to focus on, say, a bit more Australia focused or look at the great powers. It's really up to you on what you want to pursue.
Thank you so much, Xavier. Jan, can you just tell us a little bit about how that compares to other universities?
Yes, I think that's a good question because all international relation department in Australian university, they are all quite different because the course they offered and depends on which institution we talk about. They all offer various different courses, but of course, fundamentally, there is some of the co-theme. And if I say about if I see the unique feature of our international and political study here is that, as I said, we organize the course around the first theme, and we focus on international relations, but also we also have focus on security studies and on country studies, and also which is one of the unique things from here is that we offer courses on ethics, and which is other university I don't think normally the international relation department offers. But I guess if as a kind of generalized statement, I would say perhaps compared to some other university, our courses, we have less courses focused on theory exclusively, and we have courses, most of courses focus either on country or on region or on contemporary, development, and we perhaps compare to a normal university we have less theory-oriented courses on international relations, but we do have courses which provide theoretical background, especially at the first year, and our international politics course, and provide the necessary theoretical foundation and for people to move on.
Thank you so much, Jan. How much military bias is there in the arts subjects? I think it's a kind of military focus or a focus on war that runs through many of our programs. Jan, do you want to just repeat that a little bit?
Yes, I think our BA degree, and to a certain on the one hand, which is similar to all the BA degree in any universities in Australia and even internationally, is that it's a liberal arts degree, and it's focused on developing students' critical thinking skill and also various skills which is important for themselves as in their professional career and their lifelong learning experience. So basically, liberal arts degree like Bachelor of Arts, we created we develop people to train them as thinkers and also as leaders, which all these skills are very important. But having said that, as I said, OBA degree has a different in different institutions. At UNSW Canberra, and our courses has compared to other institutions, we have always taken into consideration of the unique cohort of our students and their future, missions, that they are the future, they are the officer of, ADF and the future leader of ADF, and some of the courses and there is a degree which is focused on the defense-related issue, security-related issue than a normal Bachelor of Arts degree, especially as I just said before. For example, our history program, and which is focused, which has a great focus on war studies than a normal history program elsewhere. And in almost every of other program, we have that consideration and in mind. But fundamentally, and the mission and the purpose of the BA program is like any BA program in other Australian university, is to develop the important skills.
Yeah, and we might add that the program also regularly gets reviewed. So we have external visitors from other universities coming to test and see whether we are actually offering a decent and serious and rich and complex and challenging BA program. And that's about to happen again, I think, next year, isn't it, Jan?
We just had a review last year, and we had a very good review and the result, and which the review panel are very impressed by the high quality of student experience with the BA, the quality of our program, and actually we have the BA program has consistently has a very high rate of student satisfaction in terms of student experience.
Right. So it's a kind of balancing act, I think. Can you just help us with an acronym that has popped up in the questions, and that is, what are the benefits of the CDF program for arts students? What's the CDF program, Jan?
The CDF program is a Chief of Defense program, which is designed for all programs at UNSW Canberra. At the undergraduate level, we have a separate program for the high-performing student who enter into UNSW with a very high ITA. They have great potential, and we want to provide opportunities for them to, develop their potential to the fullest extent. So for the BA program, we also have the CDF program, which essentially the key difference is that student who enter into that program need to have ITA and of 95 plus. And by staying in that program and every year, and they have to maintain on average a mark of 80 plus. So it's a very high requirement. And if they cannot maintain that, level of performance, and they have to leave the program. But within the program, it's very rewarding because the program, the BA CDF program and the normal BA program, and the difference is that a student in the BA program, in the CDF program, will have 4 different courses, which is from the normal program. And so in that 4 different courses, they will give opportunities to undertake directed research, and often, and some of the research are actually supervised by experts in the field on the one-to-one basis. So student can, in the CDF program, have the opportunity to study something and which require greater, level of research, and they can develop in-depth knowledge and skills. So that is, the CDF program. But CDF program, what I want to say is that there are 4 courses which are different from our normal program, but that doesn't mean that CDF students need to study 4 additional courses, which means there are 4 courses which are designed at higher level instead of the normal courses. So they still study the same number of subjects like a normal BA student, but the requirement of the 4 subjects which are very different.
Thank you so much, John. We have a question about what it is like to study at UNSW Canberra given the small student staff ratio. And I think I would like to pass this question on to Xavier first and foremost. And the question was more particularly about how you get feedback from staff, but you can, take it anywhere you like, I guess.
Yeah. So the small student to teacher ratio is actually really, really beneficial. So when you get feedback, for instance, for an essay or any sort of assessment, you have the opportunity to discuss it with them in person, which I think is pretty rare. Like you can actually, there's been multiple times where I've gotten feedback and I'm able to go into their office and discuss it with them in depth, so I can work on improving myself way better. But it also works through to like tutorials, like the breakaway classes from the lectures, where you have way more time to actually speak to the lecturer. But yeah, it's way more interpersonal, and you just get a lot more face-to-face with your lecturers, and you're able to get way more from the course that way.
John, would you like to add anything to that question?
Yes, well, I think, Xavier is best placed to talk about from the student's point of view. And, one of the unique features of your study at UNSW Canberra, or one of the advantages to study at UNSW Canberra, is that we have the best ratio of staff to student. That means we have smaller size of class, we have a smaller size of tutorial, and our tutorial size is much, much more smaller than a normal university. And in our class, that means from the teacher's point of view, that means we know every student, we know their names, and unlike other university, perhaps you have less contact with your course convener. So that is also quite important. In terms of the as a learning process that interact with experts in the field is really a rare opportunity which is not available from other university.
Thank you. I think we've already mentioned tutorials. Xavier, do you want to just explain what a tutorial is and how big it normally is?
Yeah, so a tutorial, you'll have your lectures where you actually learn the content, and then a tutorial is where you have a discussion with the lecturer and other students. And they usually, from my experience anyway, there'll be like 8 to probably 14 people. Is probably the average for me. But in the tutorial is pretty much where you go into more depth into the content you actually learned from that week's lectures. And you just go into a bit of a discussion, answer some questions and ask questions, and just have a bit of talk about it with the students and the lecturer.
Thank you. How many lectures and tutorial hours do you have per subject every week, Xavier?
Yeah, so at the moment with my current timetable, I have 2 lectures a week, and they can range from being a 1-hour lecture to a 2-hour lecture, depending on the subject and the course material you have to go through. And then I'll usually have 1 tutorial per week for that subject. But with the tutorials and the lectures, you'll have a number of readings to complete before the tutorial, because that gives you the context as well as the lecture to have a informed discussion about what you're learning. And that'll usually take a few hours out of my week per subject, depending on the readings.
Thank you, Xavier. So it seems as if you have about 12 hours of contact, which we might call, but
Yes.
that doesn't mean that the rest of the time is free. You've got to spend some time reading, researching, preparing for assessments, maybe meeting with other students to discuss things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. John, how many students do we accept into the CDF program every year?
It varies, and it's, as I said, it's depending on the because the entry mark is 95 plus, and it's very high, and also students need to remain in the they have to perform consistently well, and over the 3 years at UNSW Canberra, and to stay within the CDF program. So it's changed, yes.
So it's just a handful.
I would say it's not money, yes, because it's an elite program, yes.
Yeah. But if you don't get accepted in the first year, you can always get accepted in second year, can't you?
Yes, and there is also a pathway to the CDF program that if you are not because of the ITA, you are not invited. It's an invitation only program, and if you are not invited into the CDF program, and by the end of the first year, and if you meet the requirement of average, mark result for your study, and there is the opportunity to be invited to the CDF program. And if student can achieve the average mark of 80 across all subjects.
Right. Thank you, John. We've got a question about how the side of uni and the side of military training come together for their students. How is military training implemented and integrated into the program? Xavier, why don't you talk to us about what your life is like as a student and a trainee officer?
Yeah. So at ADFA, we've recently implemented the Joint Military Education Program, JMAT, which is where from 8 to 10 every morning is time dedicated to your military training. And so that'll take place in lectures and in tutorial settings, where you'll go through a military topic that you'll be studying throughout the program. These range from country studies, which you have in political studies, through to cyber-focused material. So it's a way to not only learn more about military subjects, but it also gives you a broad understanding of other majors and other programs within the university where you have lectures, university lecturers come in. As well as that, you have PT twice a week, or if you're first year, 3 times a week, just to build up physical fitness, as well as you're expected to use the gym and the ovals and conduct sport in your own time. On leave breaks, you'll have single service training, For Army, that means that you go over with the Royal Military College and conduct components of third class for your military training. And Air Force and Navy have their own single service training that they do. But the primary one during your time at the uni during the semester is JMET, which is your 2 hours every morning where you'll be assessed for that as well.
Thank you. We've talked a lot about the kinds of skills that you can acquire during a BA, and I think the last question that I want to ask, because I think there are no open questions at the moment, is what you can get out of a BA and why you should consider doing it. And I'll start by asking this question to Emma, because Emma is not only our undergraduate students coordinator, but she also has a BA. And this helps us, I think a little bit about what it means to do something with your BA that's perhaps a little bit outside the actual subjects that you studied. Emma, can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So my previous studies have been in the field of professional creative writing and literature studies. I feel that it gave me the tools to work in a number of different workplaces. So having writing skills, research skills, critical thinking skills really prepares you for a lot of different opportunities.
Right. So you don't really write novels as a part of your day job.
No, not as part of my day job. I save that for home. So
information, and that sort of helped you do that.
Absolutely.
Jan, would you like to talk a little bit about the sort of bigger picture of the BA?
As I said earlier, that BA is not a vocational degree, and which is not aimed to develop a specific knowledge that fit a specific kind of occupation or a job. But the BA is a degree for everybody and for every job. And the skills developed from the BA program will benefit people regardless of what their career, what their, job is, and also it will benefit them and for life. And because those fundamental skills of being able to thinking critically, creatively, and being able to analyze complicated situation to make sensible, sound judgment, and also to convey your view and persuasively, convincingly back up by the evidence. These are the skills which are essential for all occupation if you want to perform the well, but especially for the TOs or students at UNSW Canberra, because they are expected to be the future leaders of the ADF, and after a few years, regardless of their job, after a period of time, they will be moving towards a leadership position, and those skills and gained from the BA degree will be essential as an intellectual basis for sound and effective leadership. So in that case, I think BA is a very rewarding degree.
Yeah, and it also prepares, of course, our students for further study, because many come back to do MA coursework programs with us. And we notice that the quality of the students that we have taught really makes them stand out and equips them to kind of study in their own time and to be motivated and to have the techniques and the skills to grow further. Xavier, I really would like to give you the last word of the panel conversation. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your experience studying the BA, and maybe, if you want to, about how other students view the arts and whether assessments are submitted online or in print form.
Yeah, so I'll just start with the assessments one. They're all submitted online through Turnitin. That all submitted online through an assessment submission tool. So it's pretty simple. In terms of my experience studying arts has been really great. It's allowed me to pursue my own interest in history and politics. I haven't been forced down a particular path. The degree is flexible enough that I've been able to pursue pretty much exactly what I want to pursue. It's obviously led to me being able to study my own research in my pre-honours. Every subject I've done has been super enjoyable. It's given me a lot of tools, as Gian said, critical thinking, creative thinking. They're all essential, especially as an ADF officer. So it's really good to be equipped with these in an academic setting so that I can go out and use them in the wider world. And in terms of how do other students view arts, so obviously arts has less of a workload than, say, engineering, which leads to some friendly rivalry between the different programs. But yeah, everyone views arts as being a super helpful subject because, especially as a military officer, understanding a language such as Indonesian, business, having a good business sense, history and politics, they're all essential and they all just help you build greater context and have a better understanding of the world you're working in and where you're working.
Xavier, do you already have a sense of what job you're going into afterwards?
Not really. Wherever the Royal Military College wants me to go. But I know that through an arts degree and through members I've spoken to previously, an arts degree sets you up perfectly for pretty much any job role in the military.
Thank you, Xavier. And that's quite normal that Army officer trainee officers don't know yet what they're going to do. They will find out after their final year of training at Duntroon. I think this brings us to a close. I hope we've answered your questions well and clearly. I hope you're now interested to do some further research on our website and maybe watch the video that Dr. Richard Dunley, one of our historians, has put together that explains again the structure of the BA, the kinds of things you can study and why you should do it. Normally our open days are a buzz with activity. They're really marketplaces of the community that is the UNSW Canberra. And we hope that this time we've at least been able to answer your questions and that maybe in the years to come we can welcome you in person to study with us. Thank you very much from Canberra, and that brings us to a close. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.